In this episode we'll look at nature. You've got predator packs and you've got the prey. That's putting it simply. In nature, the predator packs, it could be a pack of wolves. The prey are usually, anything's fair game. The reason, food, a resource. Now what happens sometimes with predator packs, and this will happen even to humans when they go camping. The predators will probe. They'll look for weaknesses in your defense, as they do with herds of prey. Each pack has a leader, the alpha, the most experienced. It's like a football team, the captain of the football team, or the pack. Now you get a pack of wolves, and sometimes on a predatory basis, where they're probing a defense all the time, whether it be you or a small pack of animals or whatever they're after in the way of food, is they'll probe and they'll keep probing. The prey will be alerted to it and they'll take their own defensive action. The wolf, he'll pick his ground. He'll pick his ground where he has the advantage. A weakness in the defense of the prey, tactical advantage, where if the prey starts to go on the offensive, such as running away, then the wolf would look at the ground he's on and obstacles in the way and getting around it to catch the prey, the food, the resource he wants. In an organised pack, they are very, very cunning and very, very organised. And the members of the pack will be spread around and they'll watch and they'll wait. They'll wait for the best time to go on the offensive. It happens with campers. You might just hear one wolf in the bush there, in the woods. He's looking, he's searching. You might have a campfire going. He's searching for a way to get through your defense, to get at you or your food. That's the wolf pack. The same can be said for lions, the pride of lions in Africa, and we've seen it on documentaries. The lions, the hunters, they'll stalk a herd of prey, and they're very good at stalking, very well camouflaged, same as wolves. They might sit there for a long time just watching that herd, waiting, looking, searching, working out a strategy to beat that herd's defense, to get in there and get that resource, food. So they've worked out a strategy and they go on the offensive, be a wolf pack or the lions. What happens? Well, the prey, they sort of know something's out there. They may, their senses are very heightened. They may not be able to see them, but they know there's something out there that's stalking. It comes down to humans too, with situational awareness. Have you ever been in a situation in the bush, in an urban area, where you've just got this uneasy feeling that something's not right? You can feel it, guys. It's happened to me in the bush. Okay, you're walking through the bush and you just sort of got this uneasy feeling, intuition I suppose you could call it, that something's not right. Can't see it, can't smell it, can't hear it, but it just doesn't seem right. So it heightens your senses, your defensive senses. Sometimes I find it, sometimes I don't. It could be anything as simple as a venomous snake that's nearby, wild dog. So what happens is that the herd, once the wolf or the lion charges the herd, the idea being is to split the defense and find and grab the weakest member of that herd for food. What some of these herds do is they run in groups, okay, and you usually get the strongest, oldest, most agile ones form a perimeter on the outside of the herd to protect the younger, weaker ones. By weak I mean inexperienced and that sort of thing, on the inside. So the predator has to penetrate those defences, and what they do is quite often, it's called divide and conquer, I suppose you could say, is that they charge it, hoping to split the group up, split the defences so they can get into the inner sanctum of that herd for the food, for the kill. However, that doesn't always work. The lions and the wolf pack have worked out the risk assessment, picked their ground. All of a sudden the tables turn, and on some of those herds of animals, you'll find a few of them will make their stand. They will turn and face the danger, the lion, the wolf pack, the wolf, whatever, and make their stand, and they'll fight back, they'll charge them. Quite often it works. The predator realizes that, you know, this off defense that was once passive has now become aggressive, and it's not worth the risk of getting injured or anything like that, considering that if they get injured they can't get food. Simple as that. That's the way it is in nature. So they might call off the attack, the aggressive move towards the herd. They may wait a while, think about what's happened, and change their strategy and try again. So strategy can be fluid. It can change. It can change with the ground features. It can change with the surroundings, how many predators you've got in your pack, where you position them to break through those defences to get that resource. Opportunity. Sometimes it's an opportunistic attack or aggression. Get in, get out quick. That happens in nature. Particularly with lone wolves, they watch, they wait, opportunity arrives, in and out like a flash. Here, yep, goannas, they don't hunt in packs. They're very singular. They're lone hunters. Very territorial. Something to keep in mind for later on. Nature gives us many examples. And in principle, look at it this way. In the prepper survival community, you're the captain of your own ship. Really. If you're in a community, your own family, friends, whatever, you've got to have a leader. You've got to have, for want of a better term, a captain. Someone with experience, someone who's going to listen to advice given to him. And the big thing is, as with football teams, sports teams, wolf packs of lions, is that they work as a team. That's most important. That's the best defense you can have. You've got to work as a team. Doesn't matter what you think personally about the guy or the person standing beside you. That doesn't matter. At the end of the day, working as a team is the best defense you have. Otherwise, as a team, working at passive defense, yes, another good way of testing your defenses is actually, I suppose you could say, play the bad guy. Alright? Send a few people out there and tell them to try and penetrate your defences. Find the blind spots, in other words. As with the lions and the wolves, they're watching all the time and they'll find a blind spot. So if you send some of your team out there to find the blind spot, they already know the blind spots. Maybe. They might find more blind spots than you know about. Then that gives you the opportunity to beef up your defences. Remembering that in a long-term role situation, without rule of law, there are no umpires. There are no referees. You, as the captain of your ship, your community, have multiple roles to play. You've got to keep all of your group working together as a team through thick and thin, and that's not easy. You have to look at your defensive capability, keep improving it, because don't ever fall under the illusion that you've got the best defence you can have, using natural man-made resources. No, throughout history, lesson has we've learnt through the rise and fall of empires that defence always has a blind point. It is always vulnerable for whatever reasons. The next video I'll do is, last week we were on a road trip, and I'll talk about a little bit more about blind spots and boundaries and that sort of thing. We're driving along a highway, looking at it. Basically you're in hostile territory, okay, and there are a number of threats from wildlife crossing the road, threats from road conditions, threats from other traffic on the road. I mean, you can't read their mind, you know what the hell they're going to do from one second to the next. Weather conditions, things like that. And perhaps the last video I'll do in this series is, we did a play act when we were out in the Boonies last week. Okay, we're not going to win any awards for acting. I'll probably do a preview video to that actually, because it points out a number of things. Main thing is look at your defensive capability in a passive mode, because you've got to have eyes and ears out there all the time, and that will depend on the lay of the ground. I've got a video to do on that, blind spots, your resources that are available to you. You can't stretch them too far. I mean, this is one of the biggest mistakes that's been made through history, is that defensive resources are stretched too far to the point that they are weakened. There are holes and gaps in them, and the predators out there will find them. Another good movie to watch was during my training days. It was basically aimed at leadership, but if you look at the movie production of Zulu, a very good movie. It shows leadership problems there, but it also shows how to work as a team. Your defensive layers that may need to be reassessed. I mean, in that movie they had 2 spotters, 2 lookouts on the hill. They knew the Zulus were coming. They built up their defences. Most of them, there's around about company strength of British soldiers, I think Rorke's Drift, had very little or no combat experience. They had no idea about Zulu tactics until one of the Boers knew the Zulu tactics in an open field environment. In that movie, it was a strategy both in leadership and defence and offence. Troops were spread around the perimeter. The perimeter was hastily set up, and they looked at the resources, the number of men they had there, and spread them around that perimeter. But they also had in-depth defence too. And if you look further into the movie, they built a redoubt with a step on it, and towards the end of the movie, and it comes down to a game of, well, it's not a game, but you know what I mean, it's a game of attrition. They were vastly outnumbered, and the Zulus had to change their tactics because they weren't used to attacking or launching an offensive against static situations such as buildings and types of defence boundaries and that sort of thing. So it's a very interesting movie to watch. I'm not going to go too much into it. If you want to watch it, there's a lot to learn from it. It comes down to leadership, working as a team, defences, going on the offensive, layered defence as the outer defences started to crumble, and they pulled back and set up a new defence line, which became offensive, became aggressive defence. So anyway, I'll leave it at that, and thanks for watching. I'll post up some more videos as this moves along. Some of you may find boring, particularly that driving stretch. It's a long stretch of road, boring, but what I'm talking about is relevant to a lot of situations, particularly with passive defence. Alright, thank you for watching.